go their shape. Now is recording. You turn smoothly, slowly. You down. It has come slowly. Now is light is low.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's cut, is there?
Okay.
Now is going to recording.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so at the recording button comes.
One is there. Okay.
You know, the experiences I have, if put in the right medium, can also be a very powerful tool to, I don't know, I don't have words to describe that element, you know.
It struck me very often that, I mean, with such a powerful medium which relates so strongly to us in entertainment, why is it that we are not able to use this as a tool to get students to be more empathetic, or to doctors or anyone to be more empathetic? And I started thinking of issues beyond just watching films. I mean, if watching a film was so powerful emotionally, then how much more powerful would it be if you were actually behind the camera? Would you see people differently? Would you actually pick up things which you would never otherwise see? So that was basically the broad thing. And I felt empathy is very culture specific. You relate to circumstances as you know them. And so to see a film about empathy which is located in another geographical environment or cultural environment speaks less to individuals than if they actually see it within the environment that they are situated. And I think that I realized that we needed to develop these things in India. I mean, one of the things that we constantly say is that we are desensitized to our environment because we see too much poverty, we see too much of everything that we don't want to see, and so we stop seeing it. And I felt we need to develop that sort of storytelling through this visual medium so that people can relate to them and use it again and again.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm giving you all no choice, but it's part of what I want to discuss today. All right, because we also will need to think about how do we obtain consent if you actually film someone, and the guidelines for people in the industry and for what we would do is actually. They're slightly different. So, you want to start?
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's not much information on this, but I will go on.
Now we take your close up.
Like come from there straight on like this, no?
We can, but okay.
No, keep it like that only. Hold the tripod like this with your hands closed.
Won't work. It'll shake. There'll be a lot of shake.
To do something different other than medicine.
Can.
You know, of course it was related to work, partly related to what we are in, but to just be involved, a thought process being involved in something other than medicine. And that was a break, you know, to get away Yeah, to get away from medicine. And I think it's absolutely essential being in this profession, because it is really very absorbing. It takes a lot of your energy actually, both physically, mentally, you know. So I think some exercise like this of just getting away from medicine does help you to just be stable, I think.
Totally fine. It's great.
Shall I make it straight?
No,
And my scribbling is there in the background.
that's okay.
It's natural. But we will never keep slides like that.
Oh.
I wanted the tray.
If you see this against that, what we just saw, you see this is just a sheet. You cannot make out any follicles like you saw in the other one. This is just a sheet, and this is abnormal. A normal lymph node would not be like this. There would be, you would see this reaction of some blue, some pale blue. You would see mantles, you see follicles, which you absolutely don't see on this. And if we navigate further, this is how we're appreciating architecture. We're looking to see, are we seeing follicles? We're not seeing any follicles. Okay.
But you're still appreciating it. Is it?
Yeah. Okay, that's a term.
I think in our profession there's a lot of academics and all that to it, but there is something that goes very much unsaid, that we cannot express, but we go through. And I don't think there's anybody who listens to that part of it. And there's a structure that's in place that confines all of us to that structure. But I guess if we could just go beyond that and just be ourselves, that's so beautiful actually. Like just not sticking to that frame, like, okay, I have to be like this, but to express that what you feel, and not put it aside, because I think for a very long time I thought what I felt was irrelevant.
You can see now more clearly.
But that's not the case. So I think that aspect of it came out through this.
Yeah. So again, you can see those cells there. And I'll have to go on oil immersion. If I put oil and show you, you'll see each cell. Yeah. Let me get oil.
My work includes, a lot of storytelling, I think, because I am a qualitative researcher for most part of my work, and it includes hearing people's stories or, asking them things, and this was an opportunity for me, I think, to tell my story. So I have never shot anything before, although I've taken a lot of photographs and I like images. So I think telling your story is one thing, writing it is yet another thing, and then showing it in the form of a video is something else. So even though I knew what I wanted to say, I couldn't really process the part in my head as to how I'm going to shoot this. Basically my topic involved a lot of emotion, which it's not like I could shoot a story as such, but it's conveying an emotion, which was a huge challenge, and I had no idea how I was going to do that, because I probably had not put in the time to identify it properly. What is it and why is it and what can be done about it? So through this film, I think to a large extent I was able to put in time to actually identify that emotion, what is it and why is it, and what can be done about it is something I'm still working on. I cannot say for sure that it'll help or not help, but definitely to point it out what it is exactly.
तो नॉर्मली ये बच्चे का ब्रेन है, ब्रेन के पीछे से ये नस की जड़ी जो आती है वो हड्डियों के बीच में रहती है, ठीक है। तो इसके ऊपरी हिस्से में
I think one big thing is, as a researcher, I do feel in control. I do feel I know what I want to ask. I know where I want to go. Even though it is not correct in research to be leading, but there is some amount of control and comfort that you have, and you also in the research that I do and the qualitative research that I do, I am listening to what the person is saying, but I am not taking in everything else, because my conditioning was to focus on the large things or on the obvious things what I was looking at. I realized that when I looked later at what I have taken, I missed out on a lot of those smaller details. The other thing which I've shared with you earlier is because I feel I'm in control and I want to be in control, the point of what you told us that the shot has to be 12 seconds, I never realized that 12 seconds was so long. And because I go into the hospital knowing what I want to do, being able to wait for those 12 seconds and be still was extremely difficult. And so to be able to pause, and also then becoming a subject, because it's an unusual thing to have a camera and a person being still in that public space of the hospital, where I'm usually on the move, directing other people, all of that. To be there, I felt, as a subject, maybe being viewed by others, even being asked by whether it's security or just people glancing at you, and I definitely felt a discomfort, in that otherwise comfort zone.
In the process, I just kept the camera in one corner, and for a few seconds that was there in my mind, and after that I forget what is there, and then you start the consultation, and after some time you again realize, oh, there is this camera, am I supposed to ask this or not, and things like that. But then it's there in the back of your mind. When you actually start a consultation, it just goes through in that flow of your consultation. There were times when I was actually holding the camera and I was interviewing patients. I'm not in the frame at all. So at that point of time, you're very aware that if it's at a distance, then you kind of tend to forget it. That's you're getting recorded, but you're holding it, and then you're asking that kind of right questions, or the questions that need to be asked, and things. So you're a filmmaker at that particular time, although you're a doctor. Somewhere you get carried away as a doctor, and somewhere, but in some part definitely some parts of it, you're aware that you're a filmmaker. And when that's over, when you actually visualize that, that's when you realize, oh, did I actually say this? Or maybe I could have done this in a different manner, or maybe my body language is not appropriate at that particular time. Maybe I need to change it, those kind of things. So it's not only a kind of education tool that we're making for others, it's a tool for myself, to assess myself, how to improve my communication skills or my body language, non-verbal and verbal.
Okay. The 0 to 10 la, the number kodukala unga valike. 10 irukku ipo.
கொஞ்சம் கம்மியாச்சு இல்ல.
இந்த நிமிஷத்துல எவ்வளவு இருக்குன்னு கேக்குறாரு. 10 on 10. அது ஃபுல்லா கம்மியா வருதா இல்ல பாதி கம்மி இருக்கா?
இல்ல ஃபுல்லா கம்மியா வருது. இன்ஜெக்ஷன் போட்டா 2 மணி நேரம் ஃபுல்லா வலிக்கல கம்மியா.
Part of the process of filmmaking, when we talk about wielding the camera as a tool and trying to mold the whole process into something that we want to achieve at the end, I think really comes from doctors being people who are used to being in control. We know our end result that we desire, and that's what we want to happen. So the idea of uncertainty constantly being part of the process, which can suddenly come together as something which is different right at the end, and perhaps something that's very different from what we envisaged earlier, is, I don't think, something that many people would be comfortable with, not in the medical field. And I think that's perhaps something else that could emerge from this whole filmmaking workshop. Just knowing that you come in with something, and if you let yourself go, you can come out with something else, which might be actually better than what you envisaged in the beginning.
I'll just check the lighting. Can you just say something, ma'am? Check 1, 2.
Oh, check 1, 2, 3.
Great. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Sunita.
So I'll start with myself.
Yeah.
So we are doing this practice video session, which we may use for training purposes. So with me is Dr. Tanya Machado, who's our clinical psychologist. She's been my teacher and colleague now, guide and mentor. What I initially started was like an educative video, and I like to think what I ended with was a little more creative, a little more, artistic. So it was, definitely a few steps higher than what I initially, even thought of. So, ma'am, what I wanted to ask you, I would start with approximately how many years have you been working in John's now?
Nearly 40 years. I started working in 1960.
The other, I think, important moment was after I did the video with Dr. Tanya, we had done the sound syncing, and that really, made me a little anxious because I felt you were so easily able to do cut, paste, move things here and there. I felt I could never do that. So that made me a little anxious, and I think after that I hit a pause for some time. And then I realized when I did the script and, we got Jagdish and Anula and Monica, somehow that was a huge moment because I felt they were so enthusiastic and so interested in, that they were pouring and everyone came in. I felt, my God, there has to be an end result, after this. And somehow when I just had to work on Pinnacle, I had to do it and, call you and, you sorted out my doubts. I felt then I suddenly got an aha moment, like I got over that, that I may not be able to do it to, actually I can do it.
Framing, when she goes to the bed, you need to kind of back off and give her a little bit more space. Like this. Because there are 2 people behind you who also will have to fit into that. So yeah, that's great actually. That's
so
really
I move from this, like this is how I'm comfortable, and then I move back a bit.
Okay, yeah.
On a personal level, since most of the people who attended this workshop are my assistant professors, associate professors or professors, at this level we were all students. So I like the fact that I could share that kind of relationship with them also. You don't need a very sophisticated or a big setup to make a movie. Even with a simple mobile camera shot, you can take a movie. And with a little bit of editing skills, you can convert it into a clip or a movie that can have a big impact. So this is one of the major learnings, that small things also can be done. And with small things, you can make a big impact.
Conventionally, we are brought up to say there is a correct way of doing something which is perfect, and the other is to use the opportunity as it is given to you and work with that. And I think for me, giving up this thing of saying, there should have been a script and there should have been a proper audio recording and then deciding a script, so that would have been my conventional way of doing something. But here, to let it evolve organically, go with, the spirit of the narrative. I don't think we would have got it again with the responses if we had done it in that clinically correct way. So for me, grappling with that and going along with this was difficult, but I'm very happy we did it.
Good morning. I thought I'll take you for a small walk in the campus. I'm going on my one very nice homework you once gave us was about using the mobile phone to just video anything. So that was when I had taken a walk to buy eggs, and I decided to focus on the garbage on that. And somehow that, when I played it, I had a sense of, I don't know if the power is the right word, but I realized that something as simple as a mobile phone and videoing something can, give a very, powerful message.
And I never knew that I could sound that way when I'm hearing myself back.
Good morning. It's the 14th of February. A wonderful day to be talking about love and service. Do you judge people by their looks? And do looks tell a story? Well, they do. But are you able?
Yeah.
Cut.
So I feel good to hear myself now. And now when I'm listening to that audio, when it comes towards the end, I myself have got goosebumps sometimes. So I never thought that I could have that kind of impact.
When we get used to the idea that it takes so much time for me to think about myself in order to make a film about me, that's the sort of effort I need to put in when I'm making a film about someone else, because the other person has considerations which are as strong as what I feel about myself. We may not have actually gone where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
But I accepted that, as a part of the process, because I realized that now that people are comfortable handling the equipment, editing, doing voiceovers, they're not thinking about what do I do, they're thinking about what do I want to do, what do I want to actually convey. And I think that can be a great stepping stone. The idea was not so much that the end result of this process is that we have 5 films or 6 films. It was really that we break that barrier or that glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it, within a medical college campus, and demonstrate that there is a medium which actually serves a purpose and which can be used to do so many other things. The whole idea is that we continue to move and we continue to experiment, we continue to explore what film can do in an environment like this.